So, continuing on with the divine principle, Principle Creation, Chapter 1, and continuing on at 2.3, the four-position, Section 2.3, the four-position foundation, which realizes the three-object purpose through origin, division, union, action. So, just from page 28, just as all beings have internal nature and external form, there's a type of spherical motion that corresponds to internal nature and a type that corresponds to the external form. Likewise, there is a center of motion that corresponds to internal nature and a center that corresponds to external form. These two centers have the same relationship as that between internal nature and external form. What is the ultimate center of all these spherical movements? Human beings are the center of all created things, which are embodied object partners to God's dual characteristics in symbol. God is the center of human beings, who are created as his embodied object partners in image. Consequently, the ultimate center of all spherical movements in the universe is God. Let's consider this further. Every object partner to God contains a subject partner and an object partner within itself. The center of their relationship is the subject partner. So, the center of the union between subject partner and object partner is also the subject partner. Since God is the center of the subject partner, he is also the ultimate center of the union. As discussed above, the three substantial object partners to God, subject partner, object partner, and their union also form common bases with each other, as each of these three takes the central position and becomes one with the others through give-and-take action with God as their ultimate center. They fulfill the three-object purpose and establish the four-position foundation, and accordingly, the ultimate center of the four-position foundation is God. As all things have established four-position foundations, all things that have established four-position foundations in this manner are individual embodiments of truth. As mentioned before, individual embodiments of truth are divided broadly into individual embodiments of truth in image, human beings, and individual embodiments of truth in symbol, the rest of the creation. The universe is composed of countless individual embodiments of truth, mutually related to each other in good order, from those of the lowest level to those of the highest level. Among them all, human beings occupy the highest level. Individual embodiments of truth revolve spherically around each other, with those of a lower level acting as object partners to those of a higher level. Thus, the center of any spherical movement is an individual embodiment of truth of a higher level, which acts as the subject partner. The centers of the countless symbolic individual embodiments of truth are interconnected from the lowest to the highest. The highest beings, centers, are human beings, who are individual embodiments of truth in image. Let's examine the centrality of human beings. Science holds that elementary particles are the most basic building blocks of matter, and explains that they're composed of energy. Considering the purpose of the existence of the individual embodiments of truth that make up the material universe at different levels, we can surmise that energy exists in order to form particles. Particles exist in order to form atoms. Atoms to form molecules, molecules to form matter, and matter exists for the creation of all the individual beings in the universe. Likewise, the activity of energy is for the purpose of forming particles. The activity of particles is for atoms. The activity of atoms is for molecules. The activity of molecules is for matter. And the activity of matter is for the purpose of constructing the universe. What is the purpose of the universe? What is its center? The answer to both questions is none other than human beings. This is why God, after creating human beings, commanded them to have dominion over the universe. If there were no people to appreciate the universe, then it'd be like a museum without any visitors. The articles on display in the museum attain their true value and are cherished as historical relics only when there are people who appreciate, love, and take delight in them. Their relationship with human beings gives value to their existence. If there were no one to appreciate them, then what meaning would their existence have? The same holds true for the universe, whose lords are human beings. The diverse things in creation enter into mutual relationships with a common purpose when human beings discover the source and nature of matter, and when they identify and classify plants and animals of water, land, and air, and all the stars in the sky. Their common purpose is realized when they are assimilated in the human body, as elements essential for people to maintain their physiological functions, and when they participate in the construction of a comfortable living environment for people. In these and other ways, human beings stand as the center of the created universe in terms of its external form. In addition, people relate to the universe from their position as the internal center. While the relationships discussed above are physical relationships, here we consider mental or spiritual relationships. The human body, though consisting of matter, fully responds physiologically to the emotion, intellect, and will of the human mind. This demonstrates that matter has within itself elements which resonate with the emotion, intellect, and will, elements which constitute the internal nature of matter. This is the reason all the things in the universe respond to human emotion, intellect, and will, although to different degrees. We become intoxicated with the beauty of the natural world and experience the rapture of mystical union. We experience this because we are the center of the internal natures of all the things in the natural world. Human beings are thus created as a center of the universe, and the place where God and human beings become completely one is the center of the cosmos, including the spiritual world and the physical world. Let's discuss from another viewpoint how human beings are the center of the cosmos, which is composed of both the spirit world and the physical world. Every human being embodies all the elements in the cosmos. Yet, as we discussed earlier, everything in the cosmos can be divided broadly into subject partners and object partners. Had Adam, the first human ancestor, reached perfection, he would have embodied all the subject elements in the things of creation. Had Eve attained perfection, she would have embodied all the object elements in the things of creation. God created Adam and Eve to have dominion over the natural world. Growing together toward perfection, Adam was to become the king of all the subject elements in creation, and Eve was to become the queen of all the object elements in creation. If they had then become one as husband and wife, they would have become the center that could rule the entire universe, consisting of subject partners and object partners. Human beings are created to be the center of harmony of the whole cosmos. If Adam and Eve had attained perfection and had united as husband and wife, it would have meant the joining into oneness of the two centers of the dual characteristics of all beings. Had Adam and Eve moved together in harmony and attained oneness, the whole cosmos, with its dual characteristics, would have danced in harmony. The place where Adam and Eve become perfectly one in heart and body, as husband and wife, is also the place where God, the subject partner giving love, and human beings, the object partners returning beauty, become united. This is the center of goodness, where the purpose of creation is fulfilled. Here, God, our parent, draws near and abides within his perfected children, and rests peacefully for eternity. The center of goodness is the object partner to God's eternal love, where God can be stimulated with joy for eternity. This is the place where the Word of God is incarnated and brought to fulfillment. It's the center of truth and the center of the original mind, which guides us to pursue the purpose of creation. Consequently, the entire universe will perform a spherical movement with a unified purpose when it is founded on the four-position foundation established by a perfected man and woman who join as husband and wife, centered on God. Tragically, the universe lost its center when human beings fell. This is why St. Paul wrote that the creation has been groaning in travail while longing for the children of God. Creation waits for the people who have restored their original nature to appear and become its center. The omnipresent God. We have learned that the four-position foundation, built upon the three-object purpose through the origin, division, union, action, proceeds in spherical movement around God and becomes one with God. This is the fundamental foundation for all beings to receive God's governance and be provided with all the powers necessary for life. In a world where God's purpose of creation has been fulfilled, all individual beings embody God's original nature and original external form, original internal nature, original external form, and initiate spherical movements to build the foundation for God's governance. God is thus omnipresent. The multiplication of life. For living things to propagate their kind, they must reproduce. And this multiplication takes place through the origin, division, union action, which is built upon good interactions. For example, in plants, seeds develop into flowers with stamens and pistils. Through pollination, they produce their seed and propagate their kind. Male and female animals mature, engage in courtship, mate, and bear offspring. All cells in animals and plants divide through give and take reaction. When the body acts according to the will of the mind and body thus engage in give and take action. The individual will live a purposeful life. This individual will then attract like-minded people. While as these companions work together productively, their group will grow. It may be said that the universe is formed by the multiplication of myriad substantial manifestations of God's original internal nature and original external form through their give and take action in pursuit of the purpose of creation. The reason all beings are composed of dual characteristics. For any being to exist, energy is required, and energy can be produced only through giving and receiving action. However, nothing can reciprocate without a partner. To generate the forces necessary for existence, a being must contain dual characteristics, a subject partner and an object partner, which engage in give and take action. A movement in a straight line cannot be sustained forever. For anything to have an eternal nature, it must move in a circle. Give and take action between the subject partner and an object partner is necessary for any circular motion. This is true even for God. Having dual characteristics allows him to live eternally. In order for God's creation to resemble his eternal nature and be his eternal object partner, it likewise must be composed of the dual characteristics. Similarly, time maintains its perpetuity in periodic cycles. Section 3, the purpose of creation. The purpose of the creation of the universe. It's recorded in the Bible that after God completed each day in the creation, he saw that it was good. This suggests that God wanted his creations to be his object partners, embodying goodness, that he might take delight in them. How can the creation give God the greatest joy? God created human beings as the final step in creating the universe. He created them in his image, in the likeness of his internal nature and his external form, and gave them the sensibility to all feelings and emotions because it was his intention to share joy with them. After their creation, God blessed Adam and Eve. Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves across the earth, upon the earth. These are the three great blessings: to be fruitful, mature, ready to bear fruit, multiply, and have dominion over the creation. Had Adam and Eve obeyed this divine mandate and built the kingdom of heaven, there's no doubt that God would have felt the greatest joy as his sons and daughters rejoiced in the world of his ideal. How can God's three great blessings be fulfilled? They can be realized only when the four-position foundation, which is the fundamental foundation of creation, has been established. The three great blessings are fulfilled when the whole creation, including human beings, completes the four-position foundation with God as the center. This is the kingdom of heaven, where ultimate goodness is realized, and God feels the greatest joy. This is in fact the very purpose for which God created the universe. The ultimate purpose of the universe, with human beings at its center, is to return joy to God. All entities have dual purposes, as was explained earlier. Every entity or being has dual centers of movement, one of internal nature and another of external form. These centers pursue corresponding purposes, for the sake of the whole and for the sake of the individual, whose relationship is the same as that between internal nature and external form. These dual purposes relate to each other as cause and result, internal and external, subject partner and object partner. In God's ideal, there cannot be any individual purpose which does not support the whole purpose, nor can there be any whole purpose that does not guarantee the interest of the individual. The infinite variety of beings in the universe form one vast organic body, interwoven by these dual purposes. Good object partners for the joy of God. To understand more precisely the issues concerning God's purpose of creation, let's first examine how joy is produced. Joy is not produced by an individual alone. Joy arises when we have an object partner in which our internal nature and external form are reflected and developed. Our object partner helps us to feel our own internal nature and external form through the stimulation it gives. This object partner may be intangible, or it may be substantial. For example, an artist's object partner may be an idea in his mind, or the finished painting or sculpture which substantiates that idea. When he visualizes his idea and beholds his work, he is stimulated to feel his own internal nature and external form reflected in it, and feels joy and satisfaction. When his idea alone is the object partner, it's not as stimulating, nor is the joy that it brings as profound as that from a finished work. This nature of human beings originates in God's nature. In like manner, God feels the fullness of joy when he is stimulated by his substantial object partners to feel his original internal nature and original external form through them. It was explained earlier that when the kingdom of heaven is realized through the fulfillment of the three great blessings and the establishment of the four-position foundation, it becomes a good object partner that gives joy to God. Let's investigate how the kingdom becomes God's good object partner. The key to God's first blessing is the perfection of individual character. An individual's mind and body are discrete projections and object partners of God's dual characteristics. In order for an individual to perfect his character, he must form a four-position foundation within himself, whereby his mind and body become one through give-and-take action with God as their center. Such individuals become the temples of God, achieve complete oneness with him, and acquire a divine nature. They experience the heart of God as if it was their own. Hence, they understand his will and live fully attuned to it. When a person abides in the state of individual perfection, he lives as a substantial object partner to his mind. Because the center of his mind is God, he also lives as a substantial object partner to God. Both the mind and God rejoice as they experience their internal nature and external form through the stimulation which their object partners give them. Accordingly, when people realize God's first blessing, they become God's beloved, who inspire him with joy, sharing all the feelings of God as their own. They would never commit any sinful acts that would cause God grief. This means they would never fall. God's second blessing was to be fulfilled by Adam and Eve after they had achieved individual perfection as object partners to God, each manifesting an aspect of God's dual characteristics. In order to construct the four-position foundation in their family, Adam and Eve should have joined in loving oneness as husband and wife and raised children. This would have been the fulfillment of the second blessing. A family or society that has formed the four-position foundation in line with God's ideal is patterned after the image of a perfected individual. It thus becomes a substantial object partner to the individual who lives in oneness with God, and consequently, it also becomes a substantial object partner to God. The individual feels joy, and likewise, God feels joy, when each perceives in this family or community the manifestation of his own internal nature and external form. When God's second blessing is fulfilled, this family or community also becomes a good object partner, giving joy to God. Before we examine how a person, upon attaining the third blessing, establishes a good object partner giving joy to God, we must first investigate the relationship between human beings and the creation from the viewpoint of internal nature and external form. Prior to creating human beings, God created the natural world by expressing partial reflections of the internal nature and external form he had conceived for human beings. Consequently, a human being contains within himself the sum total of the essences of all things. This is the reason he is called the microcosm of the cosmos. When God created the living things, he began with creatures of a lower order. Over the course of time, he created animals of a higher order with more complex biological functions, culminating with human beings at the highest level. Therefore, Human beings contain all the elements, structures, and qualities found in animals. For example, human vocal cords are so versatile that they can imitate virtually any animal sound. Because the human body contains all the beautiful curves and lines of the creation, an artist hones his skills by drawing nude models. Although human beings and plants have different structures and functions, they are similar in that they are both composed of cells. All the elements, structures, and characteristics of plants can be found in human beings. For example, a plant's leaf corresponds to the human lung in appearance and function. A leaf absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The human lung absorbs oxygen. Branches and stems of plants correspond to the human circulatory system, which distributes nourishment to the entire body. The xylem and phloem correspond to human arteries and veins. The roots of a plant correspond to the human stomach and intestines, which absorb nutrients. Human beings were fashioned from clay, water, and air. Consequently, they contain elements of the mineral kingdom. Moreover, the earth displays a similarity to the structure of the human body. The earth's crust is covered with plants. Its underground waterways exist inside the substrata, and beneath it all lies a molten core surrounded by a rocky mantle. This resembles the structure of the human body, which has skin covered with hair, blood vessels running underneath inside the musculature, and marrow lying deeper still within the bones. The meaning of God's third blessing is the perfection of a human being's dominion over the natural world. To fulfill this blessing, the four-position foundation of dominion must be established, centered on God. Human beings in the natural world, which are the substantial object partners of God at the level of image and symbol respectively, must share love and beauty to become completely one. The natural world is an object partner, which exhibits human internal nature and external form in various ways. Hence, ideal human beings receive stimulation from the world of nature, sensing their own internal nature and external form displayed throughout the creation. They feel immense joy. God also delights when he experiences the stimulation of his original internal nature and original external form from the universe. This is possible when it becomes his third object partner through the harmonious union of human beings and the natural world. Therefore, when human beings realize God's third blessing, the entire universe becomes yet another good object partner, giving joy to God. Had God's purpose of creation been realized in this way, an ideal world without even a trace of sin would have been established on the earth. We call this world the kingdom of heaven on earth. When life in the kingdom of heaven on earth comes to a close, people are to enter the spirit world and naturally enjoy eternal life in the kingdom of heaven there. Based on the discussion thus far, we can understand that the kingdom of heaven resembles a person who has achieved individual perfection, taking after God's original internal nature and external form. If in an individual's, the mind's command is transmitted to the whole body through the central nervous system, causing the body to act with one purpose. Likewise, in the kingdom of heaven, God's direction will be conveyed to all his children through the true parents of humanity, guiding everyone to live as one.